how's it going? My name is Bobby. I'm a current student at Arizona State University. I've recently got an invitation to a job that I've always wanted, and I want to be prepared for my interview. So doing so, I've done some research. I've contacted a couple employers that are going to be at the career fair at the Polytechnic campus at ASU. So I'm going to ask them a couple questions just regarding how to answer certain interviewing questions, and the hardest ones that I've come across in my past. So in doing this, I'll better prepare myself, and in the end, maybe I'll get the job I've always wanted. So,
how do you answer the "tell me about yourself" question? How much do you tell, and what is appropriate?
Well, what I would say as far as talking about yourself is that you should always, number one, be honest, but don't give more information than you need to. Just tell about yourself, what your degree is about, what you're compassionate about or passionate about, and what you're looking for in a career, as well as the kind of culture that you're looking for and what you're comfortable with. But I wouldn't get into any of the personal kinds of situations that maybe you've been in or that you have gotten in trouble or whatever. Just obviously that has nothing to do with the job interview.
Another complicated question is basically the question that makes you elaborate on your own weakness. How do you answer the weakness question?
The greatest weakness question, not my favorite question, but when you're asked that question, try to think of something that, honestly, that maybe has been a struggle for you in the past. Try to stick away from something that is probably still a weakness for you, but something maybe that was a weakness. Like for myself personally, I have a weakness. I don't take criticism all that well. And so what you need to do when you're asked those types of questions is be honest, because if you're not honest, the employer is going to know, and then turn it into a positive and talk to them about how you handle that weakness. So for me, I'm not very good at it, but I know this, so I take a deep breath when somebody asks me these questions, and I actually write down the information that I receive and use that information to make constructive changes to whatever it is I'm doing when somebody gives me that bad feedback. So that would be a personal for me, but you have to do whatever is actually your personal weakness, and then just talk about how you have been able to overcome that weakness or use that weakness to your advantage.
It's also important to know what is a successful interview from the perspective of an employer. What determines a good and successful interview in your opinion?
Number one, be professional. Number two, smile. Good eye contact. Speak succinctly and clearly. Those are really, and be able to also answer specific questions specifically. Don't be getting into a long dissertation about whatever the question might be, because usually a recruiter, interviewer has X amount of minutes, time, and they want to move on. And if you talk too much, you may talk yourself out of a position.
Most interviews end up with the final "do you have any questions" question. Let's find out what is the best way to answer this question. So, what questions do you ask the employers?
I don't know if there's necessarily a right or wrong question. It's really important to have questions that you ask to employers. If you don't ask any questions, then it looks like you don't have any interest. And I think one of the things, especially for students, that we forget when we're going through an interview is to ask questions that you need to know to decide if that position is going to be the right position for you, if that company is the right company for you. Too often we're so concerned about, I want to get the job, this is the job I want, but how do you know that's the job you want if you don't ask certain questions? So if company culture is very important to you, you might want to ask questions about company culture if you haven't already been given that information. And who's going to be your manager? What is the reporting structure? How long does it typically take someone to get promoted in this position? And what are the things I'm going to need to do to be considered successful in this particular position? Because if they have certain goals that they've set for you that you don't think you can meet, this might not be the right position for you. So finding out as much information about that company as you can.
So after I did my research and went and talked to the employers at the career fair, I went and scheduled an appointment at the Career Preparation Center for a mock interview. And while in this interview, I used all the information that I got from the employers to better my answers. And I also used that in my interview itself. And in turn, I got a call from the employer the next day and I got the job.